Good morning, my fellow Malaysians. The 2025 Sabah elections were an eye-opener for all of us regarding the sentiments of the Borneo states. When we compare this with the 2020 results, we find that the GRS retained 29 seats, which is actually no change from the last election. Warisan gained 6 seats to reach a total of 25 seats, which is credit-worthy. Barisan National lost 8 seats, dropping from 14 to only 6 seats. DAP lost all the 8 seats they had in Sabah, mainly to Warisan, to whom they lost 7 seats, and GRS, to whom they lost 1 seat. Pakatan National, which is in GRS, lost 16 seats and only managed to retain 1 seat. Pakatan Harapan, which was actually a PKR and DAP coalition, contested 22 seats in the Sabah elections. The DAP component of PH lost all their 6 seats, and the PKR component of Pakatan Harapan won just 1 seat. And this was actually a candidate who was previously in GRS and was parachuted to this constituency. The DAP seats that Warisan won from DAP were actually won by DAP defectors in Sabah who had joined Warisan before the 2020 elections. There was a total wipeout of DAP from Sabah as the people voted for local parties whose manifesto was on local issues. All the Warisan candidates were ethnic Chinese. This emphasizes the multiracial character of the Sabah parties, especially Warisan. The main reason for the loss may have been candidate selection mistakes in 2025 in the Sabah election, which cost Pakatan National, UMNO, and Pakatan Harapan most of their seats. This is because they fielded unpopular incumbents who were tied to scandals and also non-local figures that alienated voters. These were actually weak performers since their last election and had really no hope. The specific mistakes made by a coalition were that in Pakatan National, after the post-GRS split, they selected unfamiliar candidates, 80% of whom who lost their deposits. Failing to contest, they failed to get consolidated votes in highly fragmented contests, as there were many people standing for each constituency. Barisan National relied on their scandal-linked leaders and their ex-chief ministers and deputy ministers who were unable to shake off the 1NDB baggage despite their local roots. Pakatan Harapan DAP chose mainly non-Sabahans for urban seats, ignoring localism. The 8 candidates of DAP who were wiped out as the Chinese voters shifted from DAP to Warisan, whose candidates were also Chinese. The consequences of this was poor choices amplified multi-cornered fights, splitting opposition votes while GRS and Warisan unified between resonant locals. This led to national coalitions seats dropping from 33 seats to only 8 seats. Warisan actually stood on 2 main platforms. Number 1, Sabah for Sabahans, which was very popular, and that was the current sentiment of all Sabahans. The second platform they had was that Sabah and Malaysia is a multiracial country, and there is no such thing as Tanah Melayu. Malaysia belongs to all races. This struck a chord among all the population and they voted accordingly. If Warisan contests the next GE in Malaysia with a platform of multiracial Malaysia and selects the right local candidates, Warisan should do really well in the next 16 general election, which is probably due in February 2028. But there is speculation that the GE16 may be held in late 2026 together with the Johor state election, which are also due in very early 2027. Let's wait and see what happens, but I'm sure Sabah elections were an eye-opener, and this has implications for the next general elections in Malaysia. Thank you for listening, and see you next time. Bye for now.